Hey everyone, this is Marcia O'Connor, CEO and founder of the O'Connor Group. We are here about top three. Top three is, entrepreneurs share their secrets and their mistakes. And I think a lot of times there is a falsehood about entrepreneurship that it's easy and it's so much fun. It is fun, but I don't think it's easy. And you're going to hear experiences from a variety of individuals who either are just starting out in their careers or have been doing it for several years or have a solo entrepreneurship or have partners and have a big team. And I think you need to hear all those experiences to help you become a better entrepreneur as well. So sit back, enjoy, be careful if you're driving right now, and welcome to Top 3. So, Jim Jacobs, welcome to Top 3. How are you?
I am doing just excellent. Thank you so much for Marcia for having me.
My pleasure. And so I'm just going to call you JJ because that's what I call you all the time anyway.
Sounds good.
You are the ultimate serial entrepreneur. You're my buddy in EO, which is, for those out there that don't know, EO is Entrepreneurs Organization, which is an amazing organization if you are an entrepreneur. And Focus Insite, obviously you started this a few years back. And walk us through what was going on to say, I'm going to start doing this kind of company, and walk us through.
You sure you want to hear this story?
I do.
Oh man, I wish I could tell you, like so many other phenomenal entrepreneurs, what they have this great business plan and this and that. And honestly, it was an accidental business, which is kind of utterly crazy. So, if you look here, you see that big scar on my elbow.
Yep.
Right. So I really should get like the logo tattooed because that's really how this whole thing started, which is utterly crazy. So I went to, I love hockey. I've played all my life. I coach, and it's part of me and it's a part of my being. And I'm coaching the little kids at Mites, and some little kid comes flying behind me. My legs fly in the air. I land. And my elbow is broken off from the bone. So I have to get surgery. They have to drill in it. And I'm on Vicodin and red wine. And I can't leave the house for like 6 weeks, right? I'm in a cast and everything. And Vicodin and red wine, it's the best combination ever. But, they cut me off of that after a few days. And so I had my real estate business. And the real estate business, the issue I had with that was there weren't steady cash flows, right? So it was always feast or famine, and you eat what you kill. So what happened was I'm laid up, and I get a call, and I can't leave the house. I can't drive. I can't do anything. So I had gotten a call to be in a paid market research study about my Facebook habits. I said, what do I have to do? All I had to do was kind of log in every day and tell what I thought about this, that, and the other thing. At the end of the week, I got something like $250 or $300. I'm like, oh my God, this is like great. I should just do these all day, right? And I got my check the next week. And I said, this is amazing. What a great business. And I knew an EO member who had been involved in that business, and I started talking to them about it. And, long story short is I said, I had a bunch of real estate commissions that I was chasing. Because these people, that was why I wanted to exit the business, because I put together a huge, huge business. Imagine inviting two people over to dinner. You cook dinner all day for them. And then at the end, there's no tip and there's nothing left dinner for you. And that's what was happening to me. I was putting together these large transactions, and then we're supposed to go to settlement on a Wednesday, and I'm supposed to get paid. And all of a sudden, they went to settlement without me on Monday. And now I got to sue them after the fact and put good money after bad. So I looked at this. I said, you know what? I could probably do this as a side hustle to help pay for my attorney bills now to chase the real money, which was in my real estate commissions. That was my real business. So this was just something I could do on the couch on the side. And my friend who had owned this market research business asked me, do you know any nurses? I said, I was in an Avalon house with a ton of them. I go, how many do you need? We need like 10 nurses for the study. So I got on my phone. I called 10 nurses and said, hey, I have a great opportunity for you. You can make a few bucks, this. And so I got her 10 nurses. And so I said, how much did you get paid for each of these nurses? And she told me. I said, well, I could probably do this myself and start my own side business. She goes, yeah, you should. So I'm like, okay. So I started getpaidphillynurses.com, which we still have today. And I got to all my nurse friends. And then I reached out to a local facility that I found. I said, hey, we specialize in recruiting nurses. Do you need nurses? And they would get back to me and say, we need this type of nurse and we need that type of nurse. And that was really the genesis of how this whole thing started. Little did I know today we'd have 40 people and be nationwide. But it was really just a side business to pay the attorneys to go chase commissions that I had already earned.
Wow.
How crazy is that?
That's pretty crazy because most businesses don't start that way at all. And here you are, you have 40 people and, so your clientele is like, so what kind of clients do you primarily work with? Obviously you mentioned, working with nurses and all. What other kind of companies or industries are you in?
Sure. So we have 3 divisions in our company. We work with consumer, medical, and B2B studies. Okay. So we have clients like we just, we're doing work with Estee Lauder. We're doing, we signed Pinterest. We do a lot of work with Salesforce. We do work with Samsung. So a lot of huge everyday brand names. I mean, we've recruited studies for, you name it, Target, Kohl's, Ford, automobiles, Tesla, you name it. We've somehow have recruited people for those different studies. So it's a phenomenal industry. I get pumped up every day because it's the world of everything changes, right? Like, everyone wanted gas cars years ago, and now everyone wants electric cars, and now, right? So it's just all about ever-changing consumer behavior.
Yep. Absolutely. And so how do you, because I know that you're here at Align Space, which is an amazing space in Westchester, but how do you get your clients right now? Is it more through like social media? How do you do it? Because obviously you use social media a lot in your business. And, so what's the best ways, basically someone finding out how to use you?
Well, we have something called the Lisa Loeb rule, right? Where you never know who lives in your building. And where that comes from is, Lisa Loeb was the first number 1 artist, or was the first artist to ever have a number 1 single who was unsigned. It never happened before. And how did that happen? Well, the story is, U2 was supposed to play on Reality Bites, a movie that Ethan Hawke and Ben Stiller were filming, and Lisa Loeb, like they lived in the same building or they lived across the street from each other and know each other. So all of a sudden they said to her, they said, well, how about, can you play a song you play at the open mics? Can you play that Stay song and have that in our ending credits? And that's how she took off and became number 1.
Wow.
So we have a Lisa Loeb rule, and what that means is, you have to really give it your all for every single client because you never know who they know.
Right.
You never know who they can introduce you to.
Right.
And so we get a lot from current customer referrals. And then we have our marketing campaigns, and we reach out. We go attend all the trade shows and whatnot. But really, our biggest thing is when people say, "Hey, Focus Insite, they're great people over there." It's like we have the hairdresser theory too. So all our people, I have the hairdresser theory. The hairdresser theory meaning, if your hairdresser moved, like for me, if I go to the same location to get my hair cut, but we have a lot of women who work in our industry. So I'm going to put you on the spot. If your hairdresser moved 10 miles, would you still go to them or would you pick somewhere else? Right, without doubt. I know women who their hairdresser moves to Manhattan, and they go to Manhattan to get their hair cut.
I won't go that far, Jim.
I know people, and I thought it was nuts. But
it's true.
But that's the theory we have with our people. We say, if you can give that type of level of service, the people are loyal to their hairdresser, they're loyal to their project managers and their team who works on their account at Focus Insite. So that's the hairdresser theory, right? Like because these people, they leave jobs, right? We're talking about turnover and whatnot. So they'll leave a job, go get hired somewhere else, and then call us again, right? So it's like crazy. So now, and we'll see on LinkedIn a person left and went to another position, and all of a sudden within a few days, hey, we want to use you guys. So it's like, okay, great. We have the old client.
Yeah, right.
And we have the new client. So
it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's happened a number of times.
So it's like mostly massive referrals and all too. I always tell people, a business card is a dollar bill. Sorry, it is. Everybody you meet, no matter where, how, or when, just stay in touch with them. You never know when they need your services, but also get back to people and take care. So it sounds like you have that down to a science. And you only started, what year did you start Focus?
Oh God, I looked up the LLC registration for the name. So it was officially started in 2015 is when I registered the domain name.
Okay.
But that being said, or registered the LLC. But honestly, it was a side hustle for about a year and a half.
Okay.
It was just kind of doing a little bit on the side, and I think it was just me. And then probably within 6 months,
Yeah.
I said, this could be a real business.
Right.
And I went head. When you're working real estate deals that I was doing for 14 years, you have a number of deals in the pipeline, and sometimes they take you 3 or 5 years to get to the finish line.
Sure.
So, oh my God, Marcia, everyone looked at me like I had 5 heads. Like, this guy's nuts. You're going to go recruit a bunch of, 60-year-old women who, for some focus group on, this type of product or, and you were putting together multi-million-dollar real estate deals. What the hell is wrong with you? And I started thinking that myself a lot, but
You just say I'm an entrepreneur. This is what we do constantly.
Well, I talked with Barrett Ersick, who is who has organics, and that's what I love about the Alliance space is there's a lot of entrepreneurs here, and John Ratliff and Vern Harnish comes in the building, and Vern Harnish is scaling up, and he'll 4 tenets: people, strategy, execution, and cash. We always concentrate. Number 1 is people, 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 people. But I was talking to Barrett Ersick. Barrett said, well, you know what, Jim? I used to work at Best Buy. We had lunch. I go, okay. He goes, at Best Buy, I would get paid. I saw a big TV. It was awesome to get my commission. But then how often you buying a TV? And he's like, the same thing with a building. How often you buying a building? I'm like, okay. He goes, but when I did landscaping, once I got them, they called me next month. Hey, or after a rainstorm. Hey, right? So once we got the client, they kept coming back. They kept coming back.
Right.
So I decided, the heck with selling TVs, I'm going to do landscaping.
Yep.
And so that came into my head. I need a business where once I get the, recurring revenue, once I get the client, we can go back to them because the most expensive customer to get is for the first time.
Absolutely. 80-20 rule. You got it.
Yep.
So what's next for you? Because now, technically, probably like in 2018, you've just won Inc. 5000. Congratulations!
Not a big deal.
Huge deal. Huge deal. It's a big deal. You got Soren 76.
Yep.
I think you won a few other ones. Did you not?
We got the Quartz Best Remote Workplace.
So do we.
And we got certified Great Place to Work.
Woo!
And this is thank you. And these are very tough to get. I thought they were kind of like, oh well, you pay the money and you get the award and you have to buy but like no, it was. I mean, we scored I think the average was something like an 83% when for the best place to work when the the employees were, and I hate calling them employees. I always call them team members. I'm a hockey guy, so we're all on the same team. But our team members were surveyed, and I think the average was like 82, 83%. We got 97%.
Awesome.
Which is insane. You hear about the great, the great turnover or whatever they call it, the great resignation.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I hear it every day, Jim.
Yeah, right. The great resignation. So for us to get 97% when, we scaled through COVID, all these people are working from home. How do you keep people from home engaged in the workplace? How do you keep them feeling like they're part of a team?
Yes.
And we have people in different time zones, and there are directors at Focus Insite who I've never met in person. Mm-hmm. I talked to Kevin Nolan about that, who was, Nolan Painting. He says, wait, you have people who like are in management roles who you've never met? And like you can't fathom it. And it's, when he says it that way, I kind of think the same thing.
But I think the way that COVID hit, and I think everything changed when COVID hit too.
For sure.
Because everything is more like remote and hybrid, and God forbid going back in the office at all right now, but that the pushback you get is amazing.
Right.
But this is where we're going. And I think it was funny. I was on another call, another EO bridge call yesterday. Well, you were on with me.
I was on with you.
Yeah. And you had mentioned where Gene was talking about, like, they were having this huge thing about all these remote companies that are, their entire business is all remote, and how they're getting together and sharing resources and ideas. And she's like, remote's here to stay. And I'm like, it is, but I think it's going to shake up the commercial real estate business left and right.
Oh, there's no question. I mean, there's tons of office, of empty office space, and people want to work from home. But but that being said, there's so much people are missing out on because there's all these serendipitous things that happen when you go to a happy hour or you have a side conversation. That's why I try to come in the office as much as I possibly can.
Yeah.
Even though I mean, my marketing team, I insist we meet every week in person. But everyone else we're Zooming and whatnot. But like I was here and, John Ratliff, I saw John Ratliff who runs the Alliance Space and, just phenomenal entrepreneur, very, very sharp guy. And we went for a couple beers. It took me for a couple beers and wings over at Barnaby's. And over that conversation, I got a whole different idea for how to do something in a different product line. There's something that you just can't quantify on Zoom or, and people miss out on that. That's a shame.
Yeah. Well, I think a line space is different too, right? Because it's more like it's a shared space. You can come in when you want and go, but there's always somebody here. And you could use different spaces and ideas, and they have programs. And like WeWork right now, like they're getting sold out as well. Align is almost sold out. All these ideas, because I think people want to get together, but on their own time and, and do their own thing. And I think a lot of the bigger companies are having problems really figuring that out because they had all this real estate. So it'll be interesting because most of your guys are all remote, are they not?
Yes. Everyone's remote.
Yeah. So and you figured you have people around the country that work for you, right?
Right.
Yeah. And so it's interesting to see where we're at. Now let's talk about, because top 3 is all about successes and failures. And what do you think? It's in the past 3 years, that's a lot of growth. But with that growth comes a lot of failures in there too. So talk to me about
absolutely. I feel like the failures are more than the growth, but go ahead.
But that's how you learn.
Sure.
And our entrepreneurs are usually entrepreneurs 10 years or less, right? And so I just let them know, like, yeah, we're doing great. We're in 5,000. This is awesome. But what happens is like, well, yesterday sucked. And what happened here and how you did it? So could you give us an example of something that happened the past 3 years? It was like, but you learned from it.
I don't know if I can give you an example because I don't think there's enough gigabytes in the world to keep all there is a million. Okay. We've had, I had an employee quit in our, mid project of our biggest client who fired us for 6-7 months over like, oh my God, right? We didn't have proper backup. I can go on and on and on. So we had, about every problem you could possibly imagine. I mean, I don't know if I could rank them, but they're all learning experiences.
Yeah.
So for example, I would hire people and we wouldn't really vet them out. We're like, okay, they're available. And now, in order to get hired, you have to go through all these steps, all these stages,
As being HR consulting, I'm very happy to hear that, Jim, by the way. So that's a good thing. Mm-hmm.
So, we've done a lot of that. And, and it just, the more work we do on the front end, the less aggravation we have on the back end. I've never been so happy with the team we have now, the people we have, because we've really learned to vet. And that was one of the positives that came out of COVID is we really found a niche getting people in hospitality, because people in hospitality were used to different hours, making people happy, being somewhere. So now they work from home, but they essentially have the hospitality mindset, and that's been a boon. So we've been able to pick up people who just didn't want to go back to the hospitality world and work in person. So that's an example of, there's plenty of examples of failures where we've changed our process and procedure that have gotten us to the growth. So all the failures got us to the growth. No question. For us to, like for the Inc. 5000, when you go to EO, the threshold is you have to do $1 million in gross receipts, right? Only 4% of all businesses get to $1 million.
Yes.
So think about that. 96 out of 100 don't even make that. And then to get the Inc. 5000, Kevin O'Leary of Shark Tank comes on, and the video says, there's 7 million companies in the U.S., and to get to that 5,000, it's 0.07. So we got to 0.07, and then I looked at, we were ranked at 1267, so we're in the top 25%, right? I'm like, wow. And and if we didn't have so many horror stories with all the people hiring at the beginning and not understanding what they needed and this and that, we wouldn't have that growth and be where we are now.
Right.
Because we changed after every disaster.
Yep.
We've changed every process and procedure, right? And we've had some irate, upset clients at the beginning, and it was typically our fault. It was our fault. So we changed every process and procedure so that doesn't, so if a nightmare happens, it never happens again. And that's how we doubled.
Yep.
So I look at those failures as, they're great learning lessons, and that's what gets you to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
And there's gonna be a lot of failures in the upcoming year getting us to the next level, right? So
yes,
that's part of the
It's coming.
Yeah.
It's really coming. I also think, because you have a goal you mentioned before, to hit a certain amount of million, and I think that's great. How are you going to get there? Because obviously you've grown so much now, but each level it comes down to obviously your people, and then you hit obviously you're 44. That 50 is a whole different dynamic. That 75 is a different dynamic and all too. And so what are your plans moving to hit that goal?
I heard a great podcast from Infusion, Clayton Mask, I think he was the founder of Infusionsoft. And the one thing that took away is, okay, when you have a business from 0 to 300,000, that's one type of business. Then from 300 to a million, it's another business. Then 1 to 3, it's a different level business. Then 3 to 10 is a different level, and 10. So what are we doing now? So one, we're actively hitting every trade show we can to bring new clients in. Number 2, we've added people to take care of our existing, more to take care of our existing clients and grow that revenue base. Number 3, we're constantly adding more structure, more processes and procedures. And that's a struggle because we have some people who were original who are used to Jim Jacobs, loosey-goosey.
Yep.
It was...
we all had them, Jim.
We'd
Don't
all
worry.
sit there, and you think of a few people. All right, well, that seems like it'll work. Let's do it, right?
Yep.
Well, now we have process and procedure, and we're different. And that's the most painful part, Marcia, is when you have people who are originally with you, who you love to death, but they have a hard time adjusting to the new structure and the new rules, right?
Yeah.
But if you don't have those tough conversations, you can't get to the next level.
No.
And that's where we're at a little bit. Like, hey, we know all the things you did, but we don't need you doing all these things anymore. We need you narrowly focusing. This is your job, right?
Yeah.
And we need you to do these 3 things on a daily basis, and that's it.
Yeah.
And that's it. So really, like from the E-Myth position contracts, we're redesigning our position contracts. Like, okay, this is what we want you handling. This is what we want you handling, right? And if you're not handling that, you're accountable, but for sure. But, we've had a lot of people doing a lot of different things.
Right.
So we say, in order for us to be a $10 million company, this is what our org chart's going to look like. This is what we need these people doing.
Right.
This is, like, we have someone now who works in, her title, Kara, has been with talent acquisition. I cannot believe I have a talent acquisition person, right? I was like,
it's awesome.
Before, like, who needs a job? All right, needs a job? All right. Well, I was like, oh, she got fired somewhere, but she needs a job. Okay, her. Oh, my God. What was I thinking?
Yeah, well,
right?
We've all been down that road.
There's a lot of what was I thinking, Marcia, in it. But we have it down now. We have the best people in the business, which is number 1. We train them throughout the world of market research, our way, and we have an NPS score, right? So Net Promoter Score, which with every invoice, they take a survey. Our average score is like a 9.8 now.
It's awesome.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So, we see the challenges. It's not only adding clients, but, we have to be more efficient. We have to do it better. And, it's just reinvesting. It's constantly reinvesting capital back in the business.
So you guys have a ton of fun, and we'll go back and we'll share ideas about the fun that we do versus what you do. And you're wearing a shirt that says, "Don't Stop 2022, Believe Him." And you had a great story behind all that. So let's walk us through that real quickly, because I thought it was pretty cool.
Sure, absolutely. Well, it started a couple years ago. We're on Zoom. How do you keep people engaged during COVID? Right? Yeah, we're scaling the business. They're all around the country. And I talked about the Lisa Loeb rule.
Yep.
So we had that, and I said, you know what? I wonder if I could get Lisa Loeb to play at one of our play on a Zoom call for our Christmas party. So I reached out, didn't know, I just found a website, and I just sent a few emails, and I said, hey, we have a lot of, this is a tough time. We have a lot of moms who work from home. And it would be a nice treat if you could come on and we could do an interview with you. And she did. And she was phenomenal. She played a few of her hit songs, told us the whole story about how, people living in your building. And I had this rule before because I saw it on YouTube, and I thought it was a cool rule. And Jim always has these crazy things he brings in. So we did Lisa Loeb. And then the next year, that got tough because now all of a sudden November's like, oh, Jim, we can't wait for this year's Christmas party. Who are you bringing in? I'm like, who am I bringing in? I'm like, oh my God, right? So COVID's like kind of over. People are getting out. I'm like, who in the world do I get? So I reach out to like Bret Michaels people for Poison. They wanted like $75,000 for like 10 minutes or something. It was crazy. I reached out to guys on Entourage. I'm like, well, we're in the people business. I got to get someone. And I saw something, and I loved Journey growing up. And I saw this story about Arnel Pineda, who was the lead singer of Journey. And they're making a movie on him. It's the producer Joker. And it was, oh my God, I felt like it was really the story of Focus Insite, how we kind of came from the ashes and figured it out and became a successful company. Arnel Pineda, who was from the Philippines, the lead singer of Journey, was on YouTube, and he saw this guy. He was a cover band artist in the Philippines, and he said, oh my God, we got to get this guy. They flew him over, and he became the lead singer of Journey, and it was
wow.
And he grew
That's
up
awesome.
And he grew up in absolute poverty,
right? And
he is the most down to earth person. So I ended up reaching out to him through a few different ways. I don't want to say how I got him because then everyone reached out to him. But I reached out to him,
right?
And I told him the story of our company, and he agreed to come on.
That's awesome.
He came on a Zoom call after a concert. He was at a residency in Las Vegas, and for a Christmas Zoom, he came on. And I got these mugs made because I'm like, we improve lives daily. We improve lives daily. So our theme was going to be improve lives daily for the next year coming up. I really wanted a theme. And he sang for us a cappella. He sang Open Arms to all our team. Him and Asia Andrews on our team, who was who's a singer. They did a karaoke of "Don't Stop Believing," which was awesome, right? And at the end of the call, he goes, Jim and Focus Insight, congratulations on your success, ladies. I want to see you grow, 10 times next time I talk to you. And don't stop believing. Don't stop believing. And I'm looking around. I go, that's our theme. So we made our theme, Don't Stop Believing. And I got, I remember January 1 or the first work day after that, I said, we're going to make the Inc. 5000. We're going to do this. We're going to do all these big things.
Yep.
And, it's pretty easy to have the vision. And everyone looks at you like you're nuts. But now we've hit all those goals.
You did. And you're wearing a shirt.
And I'm wearing the shirt, so.
You have new bugs this year that keep saying "Don't Stop Believing." I know you do.
We have stickers.
There you go.
Everyone has a T-shirt.
Love it.
And I couldn't, it's all because of our management team and Leanna Wood, who hires all of our staff and knows what we need and taking care of people. I mean, that's really what it came down to. So,
well, the big question of today is then who is this year's special guest?
Well, I've gotten a loan for about $500,000 for a 10-minute appearance, and we've got Marcia O'Connor.
Yeah,
so she's going to tap dance. She's going to sing.
I don't recall getting that invoice, but
it's in the mail. It's in the mail. It's in the mail. It's in the mail.
It's I can't wait to hear because I know you have something planned. Because now, unfortunately, what happens? You set that expectation up with your team.
Right.
Every year they're like, "Well, what do you mean we're not getting that?" So.
Well, a friend of mine told me this. I said, "What goes according to plan?"
Right.
Nothing. Right. Nothing goes according to plan. So. We're going to get a list of names, and I'll reach out to them. And, to me, it's always sales. It's always numbers. If I reach out to 25 people, one of them is going to say
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I got to get a list of 25 people. We'll reach out to all of them.
Yep.
And maybe it's 50. Maybe it's 100 people. But we'll get somebody. We'll get someone cool. And I want to thank Arnel Pineda and Lisa Loeb for coming on our calls. That was, what they did to bring some – some of our people live in the north, in the Midwest.
Yeah.
And it was really neat too. Another story. So we took some of the team. We got tickets to the Journey concert.
Nice.
And I have, Arnel. We'll talk occasionally on WhatsApp. And so Liz came, and Liz had a rough year. But we went to the concert, and we both had our shirts on. And all of a sudden Arnel's on stage, and at the end of the concert, and I couldn't believe there's video of this we found on YouTube, but at the end of the concert, Arnel goes, "Oh man, she's beautiful," and he points right at Liz because we're wearing the shirts, and they had texted the next day, and he goes, "Oh, you're so," he goes, "Liz, I'm so happy, thank you for coming." Like, I can't believe this mega star artist, we're in the front row at the Wells Fargo Center for Journey, is messaging me the next day, hey, did you like the show? I'm like, yeah, I like the show. I mean, like, Journey.
Love this show.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah, that's so awesome. And
Right.
he mentioned your name, too, you said, too, right?
Yeah, he goes, what's up, Jim? I'm like, wow.
Aw.
Like, I feel like my bucket list is like, okay, I've, you know, like,
achieved.
It was great. It was
Done.
pretty cool. It was really
oh my
cool.
God, that's so awesome. But stuff like that, you're making your culture though while you do this, and I don't think you realize that. But you live your culture at your company, and I think where a lot of CEOs don't, they don't always do that. So it's really important that you're setting the stage for all that.
You know,
Cool.
I've, you know, culture. You always culture trumps strategy. And I'm like, what does that mean? I go, this is such BS. I'm like, if you have the business plan, whatever. I never. Oh my God, I've done a 180 on that, Marcia. Culture is everything.
Yep.
I mean, we have fun. Like, we have an 11:11 call every Tuesday.
Yep.
On that call, it's, you know, we talk about housekeeping stuff, but then we have, you know, we'll have some fun, and we'll have some different guests on, and
Yep.
we'll have some, you know, we'll have industry people. It's not always just fun. We have industry people.
Right.
But, you know, you have to I mean, we have to realize in 2022, you know, we have, you know, there's people who are working moms who have to go pick up their kid. Right? So we understand all that. They log out, they log back in, and our teams understand people. At the end of the day, it's all people. And the culture is, look, any problem you've had with, I've probably had. So, you know, what do we got to do?
Right.
What do we got to do? Right? And we give everyone the big objectives. And it was really neat because on the Christmas call after Arnell, we had, you know, and everyone's drinking wine, having a fun time with the ugly sweaters and everything. And at the end, and we used this video for an application for one of these awards, but it was a bunch of our staff talking about how much they enjoyed coming to work every day, how they enjoyed, because we have them set up on teams, how they love their teams, and that they really knew the struggles of different people had and whatnot. And it's really touching, and I love to share it with you because it wasn't scripted, and it was like, wow, this is really cool. These, you know, people, like, yeah, we're at work all day, but my whole theory was, if you have to work 40, 50 hours a week, whatever it is, why can't it be a fun experience?
Right.
Why can't you enjoy the people you're with? And these are people who've never met each other in person, who are in separate areas of the country,
Right.
who through technology, you know, they really get a chance to know each other and know each other's life stories, and they're friends on Facebook. And that is really super rewarding to see, just as rewarding as the Inc. 5000.
Sure.
And I'm excited today because we're having our own content day. People who, you know, about a quarter of our team is here, and they all live within, you know, a lot of them are originals because they live within 2 hours here, right? So they're all coming in. We're gonna have a good day, and that's the culture, because, you know, they can make up excuses why they're not coming in. They can't. All week on Slack, I can't wait to come in. I can't wait to come in. I can't wait to come in.
Oh, that's so great. Fun.
And it's really neat because one of the fun things, you know, talk about culture, and, you know, our core values are attitude, relationships, communicate, and own it. So, you know, but having the positive attitude, we hire on these, we fire on these. But we had a client, a pretty big client, and I was away, and they have a conference call, and he said, okay, well, let's see, you know, we'll run it by Jim. And she says, who's Jim? I said, oh my God. I said, I thought it was the best thing in the world.
Absolutely.
They had no idea who I was.
Yeah.
And they just knew our team so well.
Become full
because
circle.
of that culture.
Yep.
I'm like, and they're like, you know, are you upset? I'm like, upset. This is one of the happiest days of being in business.
Yeah.
You know, because Focus Insight is all about our people and our team.
Yeah.
And, you know, and at the end of the day, I want to be able to look back and, you know, and yes, don't stop believing, but it was improving lives daily. I know our staff, you know, I learned this from a few different entrepreneurs, but we show them you can come in as a part-time recruiter. You could learn, we'll teach you the business, and you can become a director or a vice president. You know, we promote from within. We'll teach you the business. And we truly improve lives daily. And that's a culture, you know, I want to keep, you know, and that we wouldn't have grown this quickly without that culture.
And I love that. What do you read? What are you reading right now?
What do I read? I am a bookworm. I love it. I just got the new Kindle Paperwhite. I'm reading Jack Daly's book on the Bucket List book. It's
Love
really
it.
good. Ray Dalio Principles. One of my favorites I'm rereading every year is The Traveler's Gift by Andy Andrews.
Oh, good one.
You read that one?
Yeah, that was a good one.
A friend of mine, Jeremy Roenick, who's a professional hockey player, he told me about it. I'm like, I never thought of Jeremy Roenick as a book scholar.
Yeah.
He told me to read it, and it was so good. And it's about the power of your decisions. That's probably top of my list. I coach a bunch of kids at Malvern Hockey, and all the graduation gifts I give them. Yeah, they get the envelope with some bucks too, which will be spent on something stupid. But I always give them the traveler's gift.
That's
awesome. That's one of my favorite books.
Yeah.
Books and we could have a 10-hour podcast on books. I mean,
awesome.
that really changed my life. Is when, you know what? Now I'm thinking about it. I hurt my knee, and I couldn't play college hockey for like 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and I couldn't go anywhere because my leg was so. I just read. I just became such a massive personal development bookworm.
That's awesome.
And I still continue that to this day.
Yeah, it's so funny. More entrepreneurs that I meet, they love books. They love reading. They like audibles. They like podcasts. And I love learning. Like I have a sponge, so I feel that way, which is really cool. How do people get a hold of you?
Oh, sure. So best way is probably email me, jim@focusinsite.com, FOCUSINSITE.com. That's the best way to get a hold of me. And, or you could LinkedIn me or, I encourage everyone to LinkedIn me for sure. Because that's what, this whole thing is about networking.
Yes.
So,
always.
And my life has changed. This is why we had this conversation yesterday. I get so incensed as you do as these new people who want to work from home. They need to get their rear end out and meet people and go to happy hours and meet, because you have no idea. It's like Steve Jobs said at the commencement address at Stanford. You don't have any idea going through this thing at the time, but when you look back, you really connect all the dots on the direction your life has taken.
Yeah.
And that only comes from networking and knowing people.
Completely.
And that's why I said, you know what, I'm down the shore on vacation. I'm leaving midweek. I'm going to the trade show in New York. I mean, first world problems. And I said this. I go, I feel fortunate every day I have a business to work on.
Yeah.
Right. 96% of them, or whatever, half of them fail, and 96% don't get to $1 million. So I don't know. I look at every day as a blessing. And,
yeah, it is.
And
it truly is a blessing. People don't realize that, but we do. Yeah. But it is every day. We do put a lot on the line too, and you need to be okay with it. It's either control you or you're going to control it.
I say two things. I say, man, I wouldn't wish entrepreneurship on my worst enemy. Right? That's number one because. Oh, man, I can't tell you. And, when you have to look at two pieces of data, okay, well, the numbers say this and this says this. And then you look at them both, you're like, I have a feeling we're doing this, right? And it makes no logical sense.
None.
And then 6 months later, wow, you were a genius. Well, you don't know that going into it.
No.
Right?
Sometimes it's a hope and a prayer.
You're living on a prayer. Maybe John Bon Jovi, if you hear this, maybe he could be our guest. But,
there you go.
Because entrepreneurs, we're living on a prayer every single day. But no, but once you get and I learned so much, and I feel like, if this business ended today, I feel like we could do a completely different business.
Yeah.
All with the same people.
Yep.
Because the people we've been able to find are amazing. The whole Focus Insight team, I mean, nothing happens without the team. I've always gotten that from, I was the captain of pretty much every hockey team I've been on. So, you're this outstanding leader. No, I did the shit that no one else wanted to do. No one thinks about the uniforms, the schedule, right? Just having the tough conversation when no one wants to talk with someone. That's the leadership. Yep. That's where you get the captain symbol, and that's what you have to do here. So it is pretty awesome to gain these awards and look back and say, wow. And it's not because you have the award. It's because of the million stories behind it. And and the times where there's no money in the bank. And, I mean, there's tons of that, there's a gazillion of those.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's normal, pretty much normal too. But Jimmy J, so thank you so much for being on the show today. We love having you, love seeing you over here at Align Space, and keep up the good work. And I'm so excited for you.
Thanks so much, Marcia. And look forward to seeing you in Sea Isle. Maybe, or another event. So thank you so much for having me. It was awesome.
Awesome. Thanks, JJ.